How can you grow your business if you don't know where you are? Welcome back to Number Compass, where we use numbers to get direction and to reveal the next steps in growing your business. Hi, it's Candus, and today I want to talk about cash versus accrual and the lens with which you look at your reports and how it can really tell you what's happening in your business. If you're thinking, what does that mean? Then you are in the right place. Let's get started. So cash versus accrual. This is an accounting term, but I think that so many business owners wonder what it means but don't understand it, and it's holding you back when it doesn't need to be. It is super stinking simple if somebody explains it to you in the right way. So cash basis, we talk about this when we talk about accounting for taxes, looking at reports, and accounting software like QuickBooks has a way that it tracks each of these, and you need to know which is the right one for your business, but more importantly, how you can use both of them to help you make decisions. So when we talk about cash accounting is at the moment money's exchanged. When your customer pays you for the different products and services, it becomes income to you. When you pay for expenses, it shows up on your profit and loss as an expense. So in other words, the day cash is exchanged is the date the transaction is recorded or shows up on your profit and loss. Okay, does that make sense? So far, so good? Great. Accrual basis is at the moment you create an invoice. On that date, it's income to you. The moment you create an expense, you enter a bill, that's when it's an expense. That's when it shows up on the profit and loss. And you might be thinking, okay, great, but why does this matter, Candace? Why are we creating an episode dedicated to understanding this? This is why. When you go to pull your reports, often I get asked on YouTube and through email or on social media, and they say, Candace, I entered a transaction, but it's not showing up on my report. Why? And it's because this. If you create an invoice, it's not going to show up on your profit and loss unless you select accrual basis in your reports. Or if you're saying, why does something show up? I entered the bill in the previous year, but I didn't pay it till the next year. Why is it now showing up on my profit and loss? Because you're using cash basis. If you said to me, hey, Candace, I want to understand my reports. I want to report that whether or not my customers ever paid me for it, I want to see how much income we generated in our business. I would say, pull the report on accrual. So what happens is if you fully understand QuickBooks and you understand the features and functions that it has, and how it can work with you instead of against you, you can start pulling reports with the data you need to make decisions. That's the important reason you want to know the difference between cash and accrual, because the whole purpose of QuickBooks is to help you make decisions, to file taxes. And most entrepreneurs that are smaller businesses, I would say, not huge businesses, only want to pay taxes based off cash. The moment the customer paid me for the expenses that I've paid for. So you can always check with your tax professional to make sure, depending on the size of your business, the industry you're in, the type of business you are, whether cash or accrual for taxes makes the most sense for you. But then on the flip side, you want to say, I can use both in QuickBooks. I can file my taxes on cash, but I can always pull a report on accrual to see what you have generated, even if your customers haven't paid you, so you can make decisions. Does that make sense? And if you're thinking, okay, I'm a very visual person, I really need to see what you're talking about, make sure to join my Customizing QuickBooks workshop, because I literally go through this step by step. I show you the difference in both desktop and online so that you can see how it impacts your report. So you can start looking at QuickBooks through new eyes, which will help you decide if you want to use invoice feature, which says customers are going to pay me later, but it allows you to pull an accrual-based report. You could say, I really don't care about that. Well, then maybe you want to use sales receipts to track your income. If you're like, I want the most simple way, I don't have sales tags, I don't really have that many product services, maybe you want to use the most basic way to track your income, which is deposits. So that's one of the things I cover on that class, is thinking, what is cash versus accrual, but then how does it impact your reports? And then which features to use? So guess what? You're not wasting time doing things you don't need to be doing in QuickBooks. But if you're also saying, actually, I've been keeping QuickBooks super simple and now I'm ready to start adding these extra features, you can add them in at any time. I always recommend starting with the basics and then adding more when it makes sense for you. If you're thinking, okay, Candace, I've heard you talk about this class a few times. How do I save my seat? Make sure to visit CandaceCampfer.com/class, and I look forward to seeing you there. So this is why it matters for cash versus accrual. It's super simple. I'll repeat it so that you can write it down if you haven't already. Cash basis is it's going to show up on your profit and loss the moment money is exchanged. If you are on accrual basis or you want to manage, you would be asking yourself, what invoices or bills have I entered that maybe have not actually been paid yet? All right. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode of Number Compass, we're going to be talking more about how to start optimizing QuickBooks for your taxes so that you can make the best decisions all year long. I look forward to seeing you there. And please, if there was an aha, you're like, I have been trying to figure out cash versus accrual for years, please let me know down below, or feel free to email me at support@CandusCampfer.com. I'll see you inside our next episode. Toodaloo!